boy, I can't believe it. It's that time of day, it's that time of year when we get together in the holidays with Lance Wallnau live on the podcast. And this is actually one of the I think, most important broadcasts that you could be involved with. Because my goal is, when with the passing of Rush Limbaugh, I realized that a voice that was needed, that now is missing, that would simplify the complex, explain the game that is being played by politicians and by Democrats in particular, and how the interplay of media cycles are manipulated. You got to probe beneath it. And I found out that really Rush had a prophetic quality about him, a quality that could tease under the surface, and then a predictive element where he would say where things were going. And I just said to myself, oh, what will we do now that that voice is lost? And I really plugged into him during the Trump era because I found him to be, frankly, a prophetically informative and accurate voice. And that was when I connected with his daily broadcasts. Amazing, 3 hours, how he could do that. But when he was gone, I said we need a Pentecostal Rush. Pentecostal Rush Limbaugh. Now, I could never fill that void, but I am doing that for myself, which is I am becoming the voice for me that simplifies the complex and yet empowers me with knowing what I must do. And I believe that's my commitment to you. Now, by the way, those of you that are watching us on liftable.tv, because we do the podcast, we have like our own version of a Ditto Cam, and you can see that. And you'll notice that I'm wearing a pink shirt with a red vest. Now, I was warned and cautioned against this, that this is a vibe, but if you didn't notice it, it actually isn't that bad. I don't think it's that bad, but of course it could be. It looks like, did you ever put your red in with your laundry and screw up your whole laundry because everything white turns like kind of pinkish? Well, that's what it looks like to me. It looks like red that I washed my shirt with. But that's not the news. That's just an explanation for people that are noticing the color scheme. We're on this beautiful set here with its Christmas decorations, and I got a great staff that dresses this up for me. And now we're going to jump into the news that's in the news. Now, the Drudge Report used to be the go-to place to get content aggregation. So an aggregating site is a site that basically pulls from a variety of other sites and puts it all together in one site. And then Drudge, who was doing a great job of helping to chronicle the rise of Trump as Trump was moving along there in 2015, suddenly he went weird. And we don't know what happened. Something was in a shrimp salad or something he ate, and suddenly he became a flaming, raging anti-Trumper. And every headline that he could find that was derogatory, he went with. It's like a demon got on him. And I'm sorry to say this, I've noticed this, that if you're not vaccinated with the spirit of truth, then you could actually pick up the virus of the left, which has its various long-term illnesses and manifestations, and you begin to just see you see evil where evil doesn't exist. And people just got this weird, twisted idea who Donald Trump was. He ended up being not the authoritarian Hitler who was going to, take over the world. No, that's what the Democrats do. See, Democrats have taken over the world now, and they will impose on you their version of reality. They don't care if they're not in the majority. They have the smallest margin of congressional leadership in the history of Congress. 7 seats separating them from Republicans, but they are pushing through every radical left-wing extreme agenda as though they had a mandate from 90% of America to permanently alter the country. And of course, people are going to talk about, well, Lance, the midterms are coming, and, will Trump be back in 2024? We're completely missing the point. Reminds me like the story about the guy that said, hey, the good news is your enemy just drove over a cliff. Well, what's the bad news? Well, the bad news is it was your car he was in. Well, you see, America is your vehicle, and they are so wrecking it, you might not have an America by 2024. Economy could be destroyed. America's position in the world could be completely reduced to rubble. Anyway, Drudge, however, today, why am I bringing up Drudge? There's always a reason why I go down these rabbit trails. And the Drudge virus that he picked up with his anti-Trumpism is evidenced today in the headline. because you see, there's like 70 trips or something that were taken by Bill Clinton on the Lolita Express, which is what they call the pleasure trip that was off to Epstein's Fantasy Island. I'm still, listen, I'm not an authority on this story. Certain stories don't interest me, like the salacious details of what went on down there at Epstein's Island. But evidently there was some underage females that were there, and there was a lot of, we'll find out, sexual shenanigans, as is wont to happen when a multimillionaire heathen get together with their buddies on a play island, and they can have whatever they want. So we shouldn't be surprised if that is going on. But what surprised me is that there were so many trips. Now, the case is being in the court. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because they have this gal who is on the stand after Epstein died in jail, in custody. There's this, the prosecutors are telling jury Ghislaine Maxwell, that's who the woman is. The prosecutors are saying she was a dangerous predator who served up minors to Epstein for sexual abuse. But she is, of course, Maxwell is going to make the argument that she gets her day in court too, and this is all not true. And that she'll be able to bring her defense as to what she did and what she knew, etc. But what's strange is the Drudge headline today is that Donald Trump was on one of these trips. Now, this is how you know people have a Trump obsession. Is this 12 years ago, 13 years ago? Is this back in the days of the Stormy Daniel Trump, before he grew up and had a little bit of a reformation going on? Well, we don't know. All that we know is the headline isn't Bill Clinton went 70 times. The headline is Donald Trump may have gone once. And this goes to my point. Do you think maybe we're getting to the point in America where not just you and I, but the average American who is not under the complete delusional influence of the radical left, which is roughly 23% of the population, do you think the vast majority of the middle of America is beginning to maybe now, after this long period of time, realize that the media is in collusion with the politics of the Democratic Party, and that they don't tell the truth? They're pure propaganda. I'm wondering, and I'll tell you where it starts. I think that this sluggish Durham probe that I was prepared to start doing jokes about because it wasn't producing any results, well, it's now producing some results. And in those results, my friend, we are finding out that there are high-level agents within the lawyer team interfacing with the Clinton team to work with certain elements who are about to be exposed in the cooperating intelligence community that created the lie about the Christopher Steele dossier, which is so perverse to begin with. Prostitutes urinating on a bed in front of Donald Trump because Barack Obama once slept in it. This is the kind of swamp fever dream that demons produce, but yet it's what the Democrat Party put out. And then someone had to approve it, like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea, let's say that. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has said, stop and think about this. I'm a germaphobe. My biggest challenge running for office was shaking hands and kissing babies. Do you think I want people urinating around me? I mean, it makes sense. It's a total lie, but what a cruddy, creepy thing to put out in the world through CNN. CNN, which is the international slander station that Satan uses to make America look like a bunch of racist, corrupt buffoons. I'm so mad at, when I think about CNN, it's the brand manager for what the world thinks about you, because their news channel interprets reality for the world, and that's the world that people see America through. They should all be tried for treason and locked up, in my opinion, or at least made to pay a remarkable psychic tax for having destroyed so many lives and destroyed America's image globally. Anyway, be that as it may, Trump may have been on the Lolita Express. So that's the big obsession. Donald Trump, what do we know about him? Which is, of course, where they would go because they're so obsessed with Trump. But my point for you is, do you think America's picking up the fact that the Durham probe is revealing that the documents that were sent to the FISA court were doctored by a lawyer working in the FBI, that actually with the Democrats, he altered the context of the FISA warrant request so that it was based and predicated upon false information that would allow you got Brennan and Clapper and Comey involved with this. Remember, the former NSA and CIA guys, they're all in collusion because Clapper's releasing the story. And trust me, Brennan is like, he's like the Soros on that team. He's working behind the scenes. Here's the point. These guys took down America. They set up the midterms. You don't think that Trump would have lost those midterms the way he did, and he mitigated losses, as it was. But he wouldn't have lost Congress. We wouldn't have had 2 impeachments. We wouldn't have had what we went through, the hell we went through, and the derailed agenda. The real sin of the Democratic Party is that they, in their ambition and greed and lust and obsession with power, were willing to hurt America, to hurt the country, to persecute and bankrupt and threaten with prison innocent Americans in order to accomplish their all-or-nothing strategy of destroying Donald Trump so that they could regain power and line their pockets. It's like the mob, people. When you see it through that lens, you see that the crime of Russiagate wasn't just the disinformation that destroyed Trump. It's the fact that they destroyed the American agenda and America's progress, and did so willingly, threatening the lives of innocent American citizens, like Flynn, and like Papadopoulos, and we're going to. I want to talk to you about this because I think the tide is turning. When we come back in a moment, I'll be able to talk to you about that. But before we go there, I'm so interested. I was watching Mike Lindell's Thanksgiving programs, and I actually did a broadcast for them, but it was on Thanksgiving. And I'm watching Mike because most people are missing this. He has now the advantage of 6 to 7 months worth of field work doing data research on the election and fraud. And so the guy is just he's transformed the argument significantly to a much more powerful argument for election interference. But then, then I'm watching his commercials with his slippers. And for those of you that aren't watching this, I got the slippers are in my hand right now. And I realized I knew the slippers were the next thing, not the Giza sheets, not the pillows, not the top hours, not the cushions. These slippers. And I was kind of almost upset that Mike picked up on that and started advertising his own slippers because I wanted to get the jump on Mike Lindell. These slippers, when you put them on your feet, they literally wrap around them with kind of a furry warmth, and you're literally stepping into this lather of peace. And the soles are so strong that I wear them outside and inside. I wear them in my back porch and in the house. And I just want to tell you guys about this now because when you go to mypillow.com, if you put the code in for Lance, there's like 40, and some places 50, some 60% off right now on what Mike has. And now I'm expanding. You see, I wasn't into the pillow Mike had. I'm into the slippers. But now he's got me looking at those sheets. So I'm going to be going around and the towel and the bathrobes. I'm going to get one of those for the set here. I'm going to have a bathrobe, and I'm going to show you guys what these bathrobes are like. So I think I might get one for Annabelle. Annabelle and me might have matching bathrobes. What do you think, Jonathan? Matching bathrobes for the missus and me. And we might introduce, if I really love them, I'll bring them out. If I love the product, I bring it out. I haven't heard me talk about the pillow because I got a different kind of pillow, and I like the pillow I've got. But these slippers, oh boy, go to mypillow.com, use the code Lance, and you can help Mike, you can help me, but most importantly, your feet will thank you. Has lost its credibility. You and I knew it a long time ago, but now the American people are seeing it. You see, the Washington Post is calling out the New York Times and CNN and other of these legacy medias and saying, hey, we screwed up on this Russia thing. I mean, come on, Pulitzer Prizes for investigative reporting? What a joke. I mean, suppose you got an award for for your investigative reporting about UFOs, and your main story is a visit with a Martian, and then it comes to find out it was your brother-in-law in the basement in a furry suit. Well, you should give the award back. That's how desperate the left is in these elite academies to fawn over and fondle each other with accolades. They gave Pulitzer Prizes for groundbreaking research and journalism to a fake story based on arguments that were architected by talking points in a party, Democratic Party. When you're supposed to be independent, you became their outlet. So anyway, it's not just there, though. With the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, this is what really gets me. The Democratic Party plus the media, which is their super PAC. The media they got billions of dollars of super PAC money with the media, which is why I'm worried about America. It's not the politics. I'm worried about America because of the universities are poisoning our children's minds and discipling them and turning them into children of hell and unleashing them into business, law, and into communities, in corporations, in Wall Street, and in politics, and they're like little Hitler Youth out there. The way they're getting programmed for the critical race cult. And what bothers me about this is that if you combine the combined power of the educational university system with the media and the future journalists and the business owners of these networks, if they're all aligned on destroying America, what are you going to do, my friend? How will we ever recover this? We talk about an awakening. We talk about a reformation. We talk about a revival. If that dang revival talk doesn't go to the next level, then I think we're just doing fantasy escapism as Christians, because the revival that we need is going to have to be something that emboldens people to go up like a wrecking ball and tear down Satan's strongholds in the universities, so that they're not able to continue teaching doctrine that destroys America. We got to get a hold of the corporations, turn the country against the businesses that are funding the cancel culture and the intimidation and the control of media, so that we have actual debate. And this is possible, people. This is still possible. And if we could control, we can get back. But I'm not saying take it over. I'm saying have balanced representation with power on the campuses. Then we can begin to remedy what happens in Wall Street, what happens in media, and what happens in government. But man, I've grown to understand and appreciate the importance of education, and how the devil goes there first because he's got the future if he's got your children's heads. So anyway, back to Kyle Rittenhouse. When Kyle Rittenhouse was slandered by the White House and all the media, you got people out there, knucklehead students that are supposed to be the brightest and the best at our universities. They are actually the dumbest, because once they get bit by the woke left virus, they think emotively. They don't think coherently. They don't think logically. Logos and logic actually is what they're taught against. They think with their emotions, and they're not taught how to think. They're taught what to think, and they just repeat back like toddlers with emotional voltage whatever their Marxist professors are programming them with. So when Kyle Rittenhouse, who was a white guy attacked by 3 white guys, all with criminal records, and his life is threatened. They got a skateboard about to break his head open. One guy's pointing a gun at him. The other guy said he's going to kill him. Well, I would say he has a reasonable cause to be concerned for his health and safety, and so he is found innocent in the Self-Defense Act that happened in the incident with these riots up there in Wisconsin. But what is interesting to me is how the media tried him and found him so guilty that they thought the verdict was a travesty of justice. Instead of coming to a conclusion like, hey, let's get the facts, like with Russia. Well, let's make sure we got the facts here before we double down on this. I mean, the jury heard all the evidence, and they got a lot closer front row seat. Don't ignore the evidence. Ignore the jury. He's guilty. He's a white supremacist. This wasn't. To this day, people think that black people were shot. To this day on college campuses, the youth think that the black people were shot. That's how powerful the narrative of the stupid left is. It had no white people involved. Like Candace Owens says, hey, folks, hey, look, I'm black. We can sit this one out. This is white on white. but not. Now listen, here's the problem. When the Arbery case came out, there was a razor's edge. Everybody was ready for riots and for craziness, because it would look like it was injustice for Rittenhouse to get off. And then this Arbery trial thing with Ahmaud Arbery, with the three white guys that were on trial. Well, all right, they're found guilty. Sigh of relief, because to the left, with their narrative, one injustice with Rittenhouse, but one justice with Ahmaud Arbery. And but what breaks up that whole narrative is the fact that they dropped the subject. Once the case was done, they didn't want to go there because it didn't have any juice, didn't have any toxic demonic voltage. But then this weird thing happens with Darrell Brooks going through Waukesha, Wisconsin, full pedal to the metal, running through and aiming at how many white people he could kill, with a history on social media of black nationalist hatred of whites. And here you've got this guy who already has a rap sheet, already has a criminal background, already used his SUV to run over his girlfriend, who was his wife. And it's just like earlier, gets out on nothing like $1,000 bail so he can go out and do another criminal run. And we got six people dead, grandmoms, wives, children. We got more in the hospital that are in critical condition. The news media doesn't say he's a black nationalist terrorist. They didn't do what they did to Kyle, white nationalist. They didn't call him a black nationalist. No, they said the incident was an SUV is the criminal. That's right. An SUV ran into a crowd, is how they put it. The SUV ran into the crowd. Now, they didn't say that a rifle shot people in Kenosha. They said Kyle Rittenhouse shot people. But when it's Darrell Brooks, who happens to be a black guy with a rap sheet, they say, no, it was the SUV that is the focus of the report, not the driver. Now, I know this and you know this. I'm not beating on that dead horse. I'm saying, how long will the American people give a free pass to the CNNs of this world and the MSNBC and the CBSs? How long are we going to give a free pass to the New York Times and the Washington Post? How long? I'll tell you. The people that are deep in the sauce on the left, I'm sorry, they're not coming out of it. Apart from an Apostle Paul Damascus Road experience, their brain is tattooed with a narrative. They're looking through goggles they don't even know they're wearing. But I'm talking about the independents in America, and I'm talking about the 80% of the independent voters. I'm talking about another 20% of the Democrat voters. I'm talking about a sizable shift in the American population, because you only need a little shift to create an awakening. And I'm saying that from a social perspective, it looks to me like the independents are beginning to catch on, and you've got them. You've got Eric Weinstein, for instance, intellectual, what's called part of the intellectual dark web, with Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro and Joe Rogan and David Rubin, and I don't know how they put this together. It was just anyway. If you track with that stuff, you know what I'm talking about. But it's the intellects that are liberals, and they're questioning exactly what's happening in America. And thank God that, like, the Bill Maher's, and like there's one chick, Naomi Wolf, who's like the super duper, liberal woman empowerment girl, but she's actually fighting the COVID the COVID state, dictatorship, the takeover of our freedoms by government over COVID vaccine mandates and lockdowns, etc. And so we're finding this unusual thing. I believe Americans are having their eyes open. I think that the Russia probe was like the crack in the vase, that for those that are intellectually, let's put it this way, there's 3 levels of belief. There's opinion, which is just, based on what you're thinking and what your friends think. There's belief, which is what you're now collecting evidence for based on your opinion, and you're seeing a pattern, and it's reinforced by news and friends. So you got opinion is the lowest level, belief is the second level, and then a conviction is the third level. When you have a conviction, you now have so much ego invested in being right that you resist evidence that challenges you. A true intellectual only advances to the point, really, of belief, and their convictions are open to correction by better arguments or new data. Those are people that are called lovers of truth. If you are not a lover of truth, then you are a setup for the seduction of a lie, because the devil will always give you a reason to believe a lie. If you're not in love with the truth, you'll buy the reason, whatever it is, because you don't care about truth. You care about outcomes. All Marxist critical race theory is based on outcomes, not based on logic, not based on argument, not based on truth. It's simply based on outcome. And so it's why it's so dangerous, because the people that embrace the critical race theory suspend the need for logic, because they've assumed that the real grid for the way the world works is there's nothing but classes with power pitted against each other, and the people with the power are the people you got to get rid of because they're holding you back, regardless of their arguments and rationalizations. Don't even listen to them. Just remove them. It's a power battle. So that's what you got to understand is behind the critical race theory argument. So I'm kind of like meandering around here, but I'm not. I'm saying something. I'm saying that the battle of the airwaves is going to intensify because truth is now beginning to break out. We'll be right back. Hey, if you haven't seen me around as much on the platform recently, it's because all the explosive, incendiary things that I want to say, the Lance Rants, are on the podcast. Go to lancewalnut.com/podcast and hear the unbridled utterance